daring bunch of fools. They'll be missed. He ain't all that shy. The city brought the shards to the wilds. Now the kid's gonna bring 'em back. Slinger Range is where the city's quickest pistoliers put themselves to the test. You have to think fast to survive the wilds, and none can talk faster than the Slingers. They could shoot their pistols with the speed of a machine. They knew just when to start shooting and when to stop. Those pistols could spit out rounds just as quick as you could pull the trigger. Learning to hold your fire could be its own challenge. Quicker than the average pistolier. The Slingers could plug you full of holes faster than you could say draw. The Slingers like to edge each other out using customized pistols. Eventually, it all comes down to reflexes. Well, even the Slingers weren't quick enough to escape the calamity. After Zolf's little episode, Kid sets off in search of shards. First stop, Jawson Bog. You'll get lost in that bog, I told the kid, and I won't be able to guide you back. Well, I let him go. What else could I do? What could any of us do? Zolf put us in a real bind. Hurt the bastion bad. But the shards can make it better. They're like smaller doses of the core's medicine. Shame the only place to fill that prescription is out here in the wilds. This place is intoxicating. Don't know where he's gone. Might be gone for good, for all I know. Wherever he is, it's somewhere I've never been. Somewhere I never want to go. Dead welcome him with open arms. It pops him good. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a lonesome ghost of a gas fella. What do you say to a kid who's seen too much? I'm Zolf of Ura. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Now the kid sees something stranger still. Did anybody else survive? Sure enough, he finds peckers, lunkheads, wallflowers, pincushions, pineapples, swamp weeds, ankle gators. There's no way out. Sets foot inside one of Ceylondia's famous watering holes. The security's just gonna have to straighten him out. He's a petty Ronnie, the bartender. Proper story's supposed to start at the beginning. It's so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world's alright, snoozing there on a rock in the sky. He wakes up. I'm just fooling. He sees what's left of the rippling walls. Years of work undone in an instant. He sees what's left of Pith, the bull, the gods. They're all undone. He sees what's left of his lifelong friend. His friend, he's come undone too. He sees what's left undone. Thought we'd lost him, but he finally comes to. The shard ain't lost either. Not anymore. Now to find a ticket out of this hole. Bootlickers dig their nasty thorns into his heels. Ever heard of a lung blossom? It's bigger than the stories say. The breath on that thing, like a scumbag sprung a leak. They say one whiff of lung blossom can make you lose your mind. Well, the kid prunes it down to size somehow. Mother only knows what happened in the bog. Kid never much cared to speak of it. A shard is like a poor man's core, but beggars can't be choosers. That's it. A few more shards like that, and we'll be back in business. A single shard can breathe new life into this place. The shard's got enough juice to spruce up any of these places. The arsenal's complete in case we need protection. is only as strong as its spine. And that's a strong spine. Takes a lot of moving pieces to make a dependable sidearm. Finders keepers. Javel. The city tried to use the shards to stake out the wilds. So much for that plan. Ever felt this old wood gourd, like picking up broken glass barehanded? At Zolwood Grove, marshals learned to make every shot count. The trick was to pop all those nasty gourds without wasting ammo. Most marshals didn't get far on their first few tries. Catch a bunch of those gourds in a single shot. Funny thing about muskets is they work best up close. The best of the best can be, of course, in just a few shots. Kid probably could have made himself marshal one day. Always time for juice and squirts, they used to say. At least the little fellas can't feel a thing. Some squirts try to clean on instinct. Best to put them away first, before they rile up the others. Well, the kid's gone and struck terror in the hearts of squirts everywhere. for nothing. There's a hint of pride in his eye when he gets back, and more than a hint in mine. To master the musket, you gotta get rid of the recoil. He's made a right comfortable bed for all those bullets. It wasn't fixed, it was unbroken. Ankle gators used to roam the wilds, and they nested at Rothless Lagoon. Many a tale folks used to scare their children straight originated here. All kinds of beasts we don't know up from down, still lurking about. Only the city's brushers knew their way around the lagoon. Can't get hasty in a place like this. Even the brushers learned to fear this place. They used to think that ankle gators were extinct. Well, they ain't. One of them's been living in the tall grass. They called her Queen Anne. The lagoon's got plenty of other dangers, of course. Turns out Queen Anne got a hold of a shard. Ankle gators love shiny things. Know what smells worse than an ankle gator's breath? A stinkweed. Ain't time for pecker hunting, but the kid can't resist. Can't fight Queen Anne without the proper tools. The brushers use their pikes to keep their distance around here. Now the kid can do the same. They say you can't hurt an ankle gator unless it's raining. And it ain't raining. Sharp sticks make Queen Anne nervous, so she backs off a bit. Most of those peckers are smart enough to stay out of Queen Anne's way. Those pincushions been living off the ankle gator scraps. Queen Anne can't fit down some of these narrow paths. some kind of twisted trap. One bad step in that tall grass and he's Queen Anne's lunch. He holds his ground. Seems the Queen's running out of options. Still no sign of the shard. The closer you get to an ankle gator's lair, the thicker the tall grass grows. Kid's gotta make a run for it. That old gator's right on his tail. Must have scared a bunch of peggers out of hiding. Gators don't much care for their young. That's why there ain't many around. Wanna know how to find an ankle gator lair? They use a kid as bait. The shard's sitting in plain view. He's got it, and now to finish her off. Now she's coming for him. She's got nowhere else to go. They say if you run across an ankle gator, you better keep running. She's starting to get annoyed. Queen Anne. That was for the brushers. Kid's done what needed to be done. Queen Anne's reign is over. We even got a crown jewel. All that trouble for a single shard. But you know what? It was worth it. That gator's a crazy gal, but so is the gal who promised to look after her. They said Queen Anne was just a folktale. Now there's living proof she ain't. With pike and repeater in hand, he's like a man come straight from the wilds. shard should be farther out there in the wilds. Know how Caelondia became the richest city in the world? 2 words. Point Lemaine. If the wilds could ever be tamed, it was gonna happen right here. The army's triggers once had the place on lockdown. Kid might as well pick up where they left off. Blam! Just like my fighting days. Gun like that can even put the wilds in check. Point Lemaine seen better days for sure, but it ain't done. Whole place shudders in a fit. The grand rail of Point Lemaine, not only is it still there, it still works. Of course, it's no longer shipping hides and alloys and spices, but it can give the kid a lift. Just as long as he can stay clear of the trouble on the tracks. Rails all grown over with things of calamity chewed up and spat out. Things eager to take back their turf. Kid don't let so much as one of those things slip by. Lunkheads settled in like they own the place. Takes fancy footwork on the rail, what with wallflowers and coughing fungus everywhere. The place used to be closed off, but now it's split open like a rotten pineapple. Of course, the grand rails seem much more fighting in bygone times. Near on 50 years ago, First shots fired in the Ura-Celandian War. It was right here that Zolf's Ura forefathers decided to mix it up. Okay, so maybe we didn't get their sign-off on the whole Grand Rail thing. That was bad. The rail must have shook the Ura to the bone, having those dens of theirs. Well, the rail won't last much longer now that the kid took the shard. It's still got one good run in store for them. All the rotten wood there on the rails turned it into Swamp Weed Central. Ever tried dancing side to side while holding your breath? While choking on swamp weed? While beggars trying to prick you in the eye? Well, let me tell you, it ain't fun. But then, at last, it's the end of the line. He'll be picking swamp weed out of those boots for days. Turns out he's got company up at the rail station, waiting for him. Not just another wallflower, pincushion, mind you. At first he thinks it's Zolf. Turns out he's wrong. This is for you, says the man. Then wham! When the kid comes to, the man's long gone, but something else is there. The only words kid recognizes on that parchment are for Zia. Well, what's a kid to do? He took the shard, he took the hit, and he took that note. That note cuts straight to the heart of things, don't it? It ain't too late to unlock the potential of this place. Finding gourmet ingredients ain't easy these days, but we'll take what we can get. The note says it plain. Zia, go east to learn the truth about the calamity and our people. I'll be waiting. Sincerely, Zolf. Zolf's messenger was one of his people. Wondered just how many of them survived, and what exactly Zolf told him. Just the occasion to crack open the distillery's private reserve. Sip a lunkhead liqueur will toughen you up. Too bad it's like drinking a saddlebag. touch to rattle those bones like that. Kid arrives just in time to sample Zia's famous cooking. The shards are getting harder to find. No risk of Culford Cauldron ever erupting again, they used to say. Guess they were wrong. Not everything blew up in the calamity. Why, Culford Cauldron here blew up way ahead of its time. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago. They say it filled the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock. Best to keep out of the cauldron. If you wanted to survive something like that, you had to learn to adapt. So in a way, the beasts of the wilds, they're all survivors too. It takes a certain stubborn pride to keep on living in a place like this. As for us, we learned an awful lot from Culford Cauldron. That learning led to some interesting inventions. The raw power of the world fell right into our hands. Playing with the cauldron's fires became an addiction. Can't fault our people for their natural curiosity, can you? Sure, we dusted off a good many secrets out here. The unforgiving scent of sulfurous dirt. The taste of air so hot it sticks to your lungs. All sorts of awful things crawling underfoot. You can cook those things, but you can't eat them. Never thought we'd find so much life in all that ash. The more ash we swept aside, the more life we found. The place as inhospitable as they come. But still we pressed on. Kept on sifting through the cauldron's secrets anyway. Look down inside Culford Cauldron. Look down through all the smoke and flames. We saw in there the heart of the world, the heart now laid bare by the calamity. We had to have it. As for the kid, he just has to get that shard out of there. Too bad taking that thing woke up every last stink eye from here to Johnson Bog. Luckily, the cauldron cooked up a little shortcut for him. Sure, it ain't the most convenient path. Biggest stink eye he's ever seen's waiting for him on the other side. Pops open on him like a pimple on a school day. Where there's one stink eye, there's always more. The cauldron's tenants all gather up to bid the kid a fond farewell. With a good spyglass, you can still see the cauldron from the city. But all the fires died out. There's nothing left of it. It comes back looking like the inside of a chimney. The shard works like a charm. You can hear the monument's heartbeat again. We're all a little short on friends these days, so that's a welcome sight. The culture. A still life of old unwanted keepsakes. The memorial may be finished, but our part is far from over. Inspiration. A forge can fashion anything. The city, its riches, nothing but fragments now. Now we can light them up or pin them down. Maybe both. To fix a brusher's pike, you just need a good length of knife bark. Gotta make sure the pointy end's fastened on real tight. He put some finishing touches on the business end of that thing. That ought to give those dueling pistols a little extra kick. That's the way to make every shot count. Even the army never issued carbines in such fine shape. At least it won't get cold round here with that thing around. On the inside, a fire bellows ain't nothing like its more popular air-spitting cousin. They said the wild could never be tamed. If only they could see us now. We spotted a pecker carrying a shard to Mount Zan. Not much left of Mount Zan nowadays. It's like a cross between a zoo and a prison break. Can't rightly call Mount Zan a mountain anymore. There's no more mountains now. There's no place left for the beasts of the wild to go. Good thing for those beasts the Calamity saved leftovers. We only found their little lair because they found themselves a little shard. The creatures of the wild, they've been building a bastion of their own. Best thing we can do for those beasts right now is put them down quick and clean. Besides, we have to take back what's ours. What the city left behind, those beasts took for themselves. Takes a lot of convincing, and our mortars have to do the talking. Look at it this way, it's either them or us. But if we win, they win too. Our bastion is everybody's gain, not just ours. Unfortunately, there's no explaining that to a simple beast. Those beasts been hard at work fixing up the place. They've been searching for cores and shards, just like we have. Maybe they've thought about turning back, just like we have. We just really need their shard. Kid got it fair and square. That's the way. He's done what's best for him, don't you worry. Don't you worry. We'll all be better off once the bastion is complete. The monument's getting better. Zolf sure did a number on it, though. Fixed that thing right up, didn't we? Made these goings-on a little livelier. Seems the gods recommended this place to all their friends. Suppose it's true a little song can put things in perspective. With that mortar and hammer, he's like a one-man demolition squad. Just a couple shards left. The quarry's gotta have one, right? Imagine everything you'd need to build a city like Caelondia. It takes hard work and planning, and it also takes burstone quarry. The Ura tunnels beneath the quarry must have softened the blow from the calamity. We bought the whole place from the Ura on the cheap. Same goes for its natives, Rattletails. Why would the Ura put up with those pests? Rattletails ain't the worst of it either, but more about that in a little bit. The quarry came with a lifetime supply of windbags. Windbags smaller than the naked eye can see are nested in these rocks. Not only are these rocks a source of life, but there was even more to it than that. We found that the oldest ones remember things. They're recording everything, all the time, taking it all in. No wonder all those beasts were drawn to the quarry. The rocks were calling them. Keeping the quarry free from pests turned out to be a problem. Rattletails kept tunneling in to snack on windbags. Even stink eyes started taking root in here. Now why would the Ura sell off such a fascinating place? Might be the gods told them the quarry's bad news. In any case, it's fair to say the quarry was a godsend. Those rocks, all polished to a mirror sheen. The largest ones, you know as cores. Hard times in the quarry these days. Single core could keep the lights on in the entire city district. Well, now the quarry's all dried up. These rocks are much too young to be of use. Remember how I said rattletails ain't the worst thing in the quarry? That honor goes to a beast we took to calling Sir Lunky. The massive thing stomped many of our boys. We just couldn't get rid of him. The only thing harder than the rocks in Burstone Quarry was Sir Lunky's head. Big fat rumps plenty tough. So's the kid. Stubborn old Lunky to leave the quarry alone. Then the kid hears a voice calling from down the hall. "Are you all right?" it says. "I've come to warn you," he says. "The bastion is under siege. Let it fall. You should not go back." Kid hears him, but he ain't about to be deterred. "If that's the way it is," he says, "then I won't stop you. Because my countrymen will." Say what you will about Zulf, but he's a man of his word. His countrymen don't much care for pleasantries, though. Too bad for that. Zulf showed him the way here, and here they came to take revenge. They got inside the bastion and shut the door. Kid's gotta go in through the back. I should have told him sooner about all this. Unfortunately, they broke in and they started digging their hole. Something wrong sprung out of those holes, and it's eating away at this place. We tried to stop them, but we needed help. Somehow, some way, he sends those Ura packing. Problem is, it didn't matter. Zolf's plan worked. We find each other as the dust settles. Then I tell him why the Ura came. To get us back. For the calamity. It was Caelondia's master plan to wipe the Ura out. But part of that plan backfired, didn't it? If only Zolf knew the whole story. What were we to think? They must have got her, taken her back to her rightful home. The shards can put this disease in remission, but there's only one cure. We need to finish what we started. The mercy. The windbags ain't the only beast that drew bad luck. The conscience. We haven't lost everything, as long as we have that. If you're feeling low, count on the buttery flavor of our own bastion bourbon. That border's gonna leave a lasting impression. Now we're looking at some serious firepower. Solid frame can put an extra sting in every slice. A pair of slinger pistols is just the ticket if a hammer's too slow. The bastion ain't gonna build itself. Well, not entirely. We need an awful big lost and found under the circumstances. The Ura swooped down from the east. At least now we know the way. Urzendra Gate used to lead down to the terminals. Now it leads up to the stars. One last shard. It's all we need to put this mess behind us. And mother, what a mess it is. A mess like that could have only been made by hand. Can't turn back now. At the heart of the calamity was a simple idea. We never wanted to go to war again. We wanted to rule it out. We put a lot of folks against that problem. Scientists, soldiers, spies, even me. We sought solutions far beyond the city. We traveled near as far as the kid's going right now. Most of our efforts didn't bear fruit. Then there was a breakthrough, but it didn't come from one of our people. It came from an Ura, a brilliant young scientist named Ven. Then worked for the Mancers, the sharpest knives in the city's drawer. With his help, the Mancers devised a way to seal the Ura tunnels shut in a flash. Just like that, every last Ura living in the Tassel terminals was gone. This discovery was never to be used, they said, except as a last resort. Ven didn't like being manipulated. He had plans of his own. He sabotaged the Mancers' little science project, set it to blow up in their faces. Imagine how Van must have felt when they finally made him pull that trigger. But remember, the bastion can fix everything. We just need that shard. Too bad the Ura ain't exactly been willing to collaborate on that front. Choice but to pick up where the Calamity left off. First things first, though, there's someone we figured needed rescuing. Zia. The Ura fell back, no doubt planning the next move, but we knew ours already. Sometimes a single look says it all. There's something we had to do before going after that last shard. Zoltan's Hollow is the Ura's border blockade. At least it used to be. Well, now it's personal, ain't it? It's personal for him, and it's personal for me. We never saw him coming. He gets his hands on the care package I sent him. It's a little something I've been fixing up in my spare time. Found a way to keep the Calamity from spreading through Zoltan's Hollow. Kid has to put a damper on their plans. They got their own security and everything. Fancy even. Still, they ain't used to having visitors around. They've got these conductors who know what's keeping the place together. Break enough of those things and the Calamity rocks slink back into the ground. Those rocks are like tumors, the same kind we are planted in the bastion. sick their little rattletail pets on the kid. Those rodents are just a bump in the road. Kids picking the whole place apart, piece by piece. By now, every Ura from here to the terminals must know he's in town. Most of the Ura's conductors are squared away in the middle of the hollow. They're easy targets. Those calamity rocks must be eating that place apart from the inside. The Ura keep hanging on to the barricade. After all, their homeland's not much farther. Maybe they know they've lost this. Lost to a kid. Some of them are downright bewildered by what's happening. They underestimated us. Had us pegged all wrong. Yes, our people caused the calamity, but here we are trying to fix it. Shame the opportunity for civilized discourse is over. Suppose old Zolf should have got to know us better. Maybe I should have trusted him. Told him everything I knew. The Hura ain't pulling their punches. As the hour grows desperate, the Hura bring out their big guns. There's nothing standing in his way no more. Zulf, the Hura, they have every reason to be angry. Beyond angry. But when this is all over, it'll all be water under the bridge. He sees the Tazzle terminals loom large on the horizon. All those dreams, snuffed out in the calamity, will bring him back. Way out there on the edge of the world, that's where he finally finds you. But it ain't like Prosper Bluff this time. Ain't nothing for this gal to sing about now. Zia, you weren't kidnapped. No, ma'am. You just had to see what happened to the Hura. To your own people. You had to see if everything Zulf wrote to you was true. Sure you didn't drop that twangy thing on purpose, just to see if he'd go after you? They lost everything, didn't they? But they just keep on fighting like that's gonna bring it all back. The country, she's all to pieces now, but still looking good. The sanctuary, if we can build, we can rebuild. I don't need to see what happened to the Hura. I'm trying to undo it, remember? The power of the calamity ain't well understood, but a hammer sure is. First step to learning the calamity canon is knowing about the machinery overrides. Got a solid balance, you've got what you need. kid gets that last shard from Zolf, it'll all be over. The Tazzle terminals, all that's left of the Ura civilization, and the last stop on his little journey. Caelandia's army only took the best, and the best of them trained on Trigger Hill. The Triggers believed they were nothing without their rifles. Nothing beats the feel of shooting a Caelandian army carbine. Sometimes you had to take care to steady your shot. The Triggers had clearance to modify their guns however they chose. Some felt the course was too easy, so the Triggers spiced things up a bit. Kid flowed through that course like it was nothing. The Caelandian army would have recruited him in a flash. The dynasty, to the families of the city, all reunited. The Triggers, my brothers, bravest men I ever knew. You never guess those things been to the wilds and back. That'll spice things up next time he gets in trouble. Just 'cause you're fast don't mean you gotta be reckless. Kid's the fastest shot I ever seen. He blew through slinger range like it was nothing. To prepare for the wilds, Ceylondia's brushers practice at Camp Donce. Had to navigate a maze of pincushions with nothing but a pike. It's a dangerous test for a dangerous job. Health tonics were off limits at Camp Donce. They said they made you weak. Sometimes the course was brutal. The rules said he couldn't use any fancy footwork, just your brains and your pike. Just getting through the course in one piece was an accomplishment. The brushers were Ceylondia's field agents, and their training was harsh. You had to find a path through the maze as quick as you could. One well-placed throw could take out several of those ugly critters. If you did all right at Camp Donce, you got to go to the wilds. Prep for the course, the brushers could modify their pikes however they wanted. There wasn't time to squash every pincushion, just the ones in the way. You can see why the brushers prize those pikes of theirs. He's a spitting image of Slinger Jawson with that pike and them pistols. Part of the rippling walls floated by, so I caught the kid's old knapsack. He wolfs down too much too fast, and it all goes to his head. I've said a lot about the kid, but he ain't the only one wrapped up in all this. What's he thinking? Let me see if I got this straight. I only heard it once. Once there was a normal Ura girl, but she wasn't born in the tassel terminals like the rest of her people. She was from Celandia. Her folks were orphaned in the war, taken in and raised inside the city, on condition they would never return to the terminals. Refugees who came into the city had to stay for life. It was a way to reduce the risk of city secrets leaking out. The mama passed away from birthing complications, leaving the girl trapped inside that city with no one but her father. Her father was sharper than a brusher's pike, so he got a job working for the city's mancers. His daughter barely saw him. told her nothing of her Ura heritage. He told her nothing of the Mansers. It's for your own good, he said. She took to studying the arts, learned more through music than history books, gained a knack for strings and songs. At first, she tried to be like other girls, but her classmates spread word that her father was an Ura trader, selling out the city. One young man stood up for her, or so he led her to believe. He knew much of her heritage, and she grew fond of him. The young man convinced her to take him to her family den to meet her father. Spoke of how he wanted to meet a man from the terminals. When the young man greeted her father in the Ura's native language, her father flew into a fit of rage and threw them out. The young man never told her that the Ura's native language is not to be used by foreigners. To do so is a terrible insult. It was then that she decided to escape. The two of them could flee the city together and go to the Tassel terminals. They would hide inside a garbage bin until it got ingested by a scumbag, then let him slosh on out of the city for disposal. But the authorities were already there when that scumbag sidled up to the city walls. The young man had sent the authorities a tip, told him her father was using her to sell secrets to the Tassel terminals. She and her father were arrested for treason, but her father got a deal. Returned to work for the Mansers, and she'd go free. Before they parted ways for the last time, her father whispered a desperate plea. Hurry home to the den and lock yourself in. She did as she was told, and Deep down underground inside that den, she found a journal written in her father's hand. The next day, the door to the den turned to ash. The girl came up for air, and she saw the calamity all around her. When the kid wakes up, his world's still in pieces, just the way he left it. The wilds were their calling. The brushers, they moved in shadows, but the calamity found them. Without an insulated air intake, that thing's liable to blow up on you. Got a feeling those tools ain't just for use at the old forge. Think the gods are gonna help? It's hard to sleep easy these days, what with everything that's happened. Zolf, very soon the kid's gonna have to face that man again, for the last time. Zulf's life. There in the Hanging Gardens, he aimed to throw it all away. It wasn't the first time Zulf had nothing to lose. He was born to a simple Ura couple who didn't last long before plague took him. He grew up hungry in the tunnels of the Tazzle terminals, so he took to stealing from a Ceylandian missionary living there. He once got sloppy with his thieving hands. The missionary caught him, but didn't rat him out. Instead, he offered to take him in. That missionary raised Zulf like a gentleman, like it was his own son, taught him theology, history, and mercy. Missionary passed away, Zulf promised to continue his work to bring about a lasting peace between the Ura and Ceylandia. It's all right. Zulf started teaching the missionaries wisdom to any Ura who would listen, and listen they did. I can't hear him at all anymore. He's too far away. But he'll be all right. The calamity hit the Tazzle terminals hardest of all. You know why Zolf went back there. All his old friends and family were there. Zolf must be there all alone, just waiting. You know what's funny? Zolf's waiting. All of us are waiting for a kid. Look around. There's not much left to do here in the bastion, I'm afraid. So why not tell each other stories to pass the time, right? But Zia, there's another reason I've been telling you all this. When the kid brings back that shard, the bastion will be complete. Everyone will be all right. Problem is, we'll all be gone. But we're not gonna die. It's more like all of this will just stop. Things will go back to the way they used to be. That's the power of the bastion. This whole place is a living record of the times before the calamity, the way things were before this story. You'll be your old self again. Think of all those times that didn't go your way. Setbacks. Imagine if you could have another go at him. No mistakes. Anyone you've ever heard. Everything you've ever done, you could do it over. And wouldn't that be grand? Well, I guess there's nothing more to say. Marasin. Ah, who am I kidding? Look. There's something else. A confession. How come I know so much about the bastion? Well, I designed the place, but that's beside the point. There's one problem with a place that sets things back to a bygone time. You can't test it. So you're probably wondering if the calamity happened already. What's to stop it from happening again after the bastion does its thing? The answer is... I don't know. You're wondering if there ain't some other way out of this mess. It's all right. I can tell. But why would you even want another way? Unless you wanted to stay here with us. Well, that's sweet and all, but I don't know if I can stick around. The weight of the calamity, it's on our shoulders. We can't just let it go. Bastion does have another function, strictly speaking. If ever the monument blew out and we couldn't repair it, we'd still evacuate. First, we'd round up as many folks as we could carry. Next, we'd detonate the cores, and we'd take off, away from here. Of course, that would mean no going back. Ever. But then again, that way all of us could leave the city. Together. You know Zolf and his countrymen won't be giving up that shard without a fight, don't you? Zolf and the Ura, all they want now is to see the bastion fall. Zolf dedicated his life to a lasting peace between the Ura and Zealandia. Try to wipe the Ura out. Zolf ain't lost every shred of decency though, has he? He tried to warn you about his plans. Zolf, this ain't a personal matter. Kid followed Zolf all the way home. Kid saves Zolf once, but I don't think he made the same mistake. I wouldn't. Don't you worry, though. Once the bastion's restored, it'll all be alright. You ain't still thinking about that whole leaving the city thing, are you? Kid's probably dealt with Zolf by now. He reminds me of myself when I was his age. I ever tell you about those days? Hey, kid. Get up, kid. Come on, that ain't funny. I said get up. That's more like it. Now, set that shard into the monument there. Then we'll talk. The bastion. It's finally finished. Now, there's something I want you to see. Welcome to the heart of the bastion. I ain't one for long goodbyes, so here's the deal. Zia and I figure you done the heavy lifting, so you get to do the honors. We can tell you how to work this thing if you got any questions. Hey, kid. You can undo the calamity here and now. Go on, kid. And before I forget, thank you. Don't let anything you've done get to you. You can save all those creatures here and now. Always wondered what the motherland was like. Not that it matters anymore. Zolf only brought more ruin to the Ura. No wonder they didn't take kindly to him. You've got one thing left to do, so you hang on to that badge. Besides, you earned it.
You made it. So, let's see. You can either prevent the calamity, or stick around with me and Rex. I'd hate to be in your shoes. If I could be any place I wanted, I'd stay right here. We could go anywhere in the world. Zolf tried to talk me into joining him. I tried to talk him out of it. I guess we both failed. When I finally found my people, I told them we could help. They just took me for a traitor. Glad you showed up. Any moment I'd want to live again happened after the calamity, not before.
It's finished. Now, sit tight. It'll be over soon. No matter what happens next, you're done good. I suppose all that's left is to try and remember this moment. The bastion's gonna take us back to a better time. Before any of this. Might be we'll forget everything you've done. And each other. Though after all we've been through, I find that hard to believe. So long, kid. Maybe I'll see you in the next one. Say, Landia, we're coming home.